Okay, so I just listened to the Justice League soundtrack by Danny Elfman from beginning to end, all the way through. And what's funny is that someone commented, Captain Ramsey, who shout out, he commented on my last video that he listened to it and he thought it was fucking awful and it had no oomph, and he hopes that the film will make it better. That he hopes that, it will be better in the film. That's what I hope too. I I couldn't agree more with his analysis, his less than 3 sentence analysis of this fucking soundtrack. I would say fucking awful is a step too far. I wouldn't call it fucking awful. I would say this soundtrack is serviceable. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's serviceable. It all depends on how it plays out in the movie, but I mean, from the sound of it, it's just no oomph. I mean, that's dead on. There's no big punch in this whole soundtrack. The big notable standouts in the whole soundtrack are Tunnel Fight, the final battle, the Amazon Mother Box. That's the one for me I felt was better than most. And the Heroes theme at the very beginning. And that's it. That's it. Not even an anti-heroes theme. It has an oomph. It doesn't have anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no crescendo in any of these songs. There's no, it feels like they're all being cut off at the legs. You know what I'm saying? They're all, like, they never take off. One big example I'll give you. One big example I'll give you is the track Justice League United. Now, this is a track that should have the crescendo. This is the one that should get you hyped. This is the one that should sound like a whole team coming together. This should be the main theme of the movie. And the track is less than 2 minutes long. And it's just atmospheric. And there's no crescendo. And there's no build. Nothing. It's just doo-doo-doo. You gotta hear it for yourself. I'll post a link to the soundtrack. You can listen to it for yourself. But, God, Captain Ramsey, you fucking nailed it, man. There is literally no oomph. Like, that's... What a great word to use. Oomph. Literally, he's dead right. There is none. There is no oomph. There's nothing like that. There's no building. There's no crescendo. There's nothing. So, I mean, I'm fairly let down by this soundtrack. I think the only props I'll give Danny Elfman is he didn't rely on his old music, the Tim Burton music. He didn't rely on John Williams' Superman theme. Those are barely in the soundtrack. Barely. You get 5 seconds of the Superman theme for the John Williams one. You get 5 seconds of that in Friends or Foes at like the beginning. And the Tim Burton Batman theme, you get about 10 seconds of that in the beginning of the final battle track. And that's it. That's it as far as like old music goes. That's all you hear. And all the themes that were in any other DC movie, except for Wonder Woman's, are nowhere to be seen. The Man of Steel soundtrack, Man of Steel theme, nowhere to be seen. The Beautiful Lie music that was in BVS, nowhere to be seen. Very disappointed by that. I was very disappointed they didn't even have the basic Man of Steel Superman theme in here. That really disappoints me beyond belief. It really does. The Wonder Woman theme is the only one that's present in the soundtrack, and it's not even in the soundtrack past like the opening. Like the one track it's in is called Wonder Woman to the Rescue, I think, or something like that. It's when she's taking down the henchman, essentially. That scene is the only time we are going to hear Wonder Woman's theme. That's it. In this whole movie, that is the only time we're going to hear her theme. And it's only present for like 5 seconds, and then it goes away. And then by the end of the track, it comes back again for another like 5 seconds, and that's it. Like the whole track is not her theme. It's just like little pieces of her theme. I'm wondering like what was wrong with Junkie XL? You know, what was wrong with his theme that they couldn't go with that? Because this, for sure, is a step backwards than what we've gotten. Man of Steel and BBS are miles ahead of this. Like, leaps and bounds better than this soundtrack. And it's not even that horrible of a soundtrack. Like, fucking awful is not how I would describe the Justice League soundtrack. I don't think it's fucking awful. I think it's very by the numbers and it's just serviceable, you know? It's just serviceable. It's not overwhelming. It's not memorable. You know, I think that's a big negative is to have a soundtrack that's not very memorable. It feels like it's Danny Elfman's best attempt at making a Star Wars soundtrack. That's one of the few things I can compare it to, really. Is that it kind of sounds like a Star Wars soundtrack mixed with like a generic superhero film. And I just don't know why Warner Brothers was so scared, you know, that they needed to play it safe with Danny Elfman, because this is the definition of playing it safe, you know? Junkie XL, he probably had some crazy, wacky ideas for the soundtrack, and it was probably going to be something unique that no one's heard before, and Warner Brothers got scared. That's what happened. They got scared, and they didn't want to do it. I guarantee Junkie XL would have been better. It would have sounded way different. It just would have been better. Cyborg's theme, nowhere to be found. Flash's theme, nowhere to be found. If they do have themes, I'm not hearing them, you know? They just sound like just generic movie scenes, you know? Not even like superhero things, just like, not even a superhero theme. It's just like a regular movie theme, you know, to get you from like one scene to another. It's not like a fucking... It's not wowing me, is what I'm really trying to say, I guess. This doesn't wow me at all. And I was giving Danny Elfman the benefit of the doubt because the first track they released, coincidentally, is the best track. The Heroes theme is the best track by far on the whole soundtrack. It's the best one. And they released it first because they probably knew that that was the best they had. So that's why they released it. And that got me excited. I'm like, wow, if the rest of the soundtrack can be like this, we're in for a treat. But it wasn't. It's not. It's just serviceable enough, you know, for the story to get you from beginning to end. That's it. That's the only thing this soundtrack is good for. I will not be buying this. I listened to it free on YouTube. I got a link to where I listened to the whole thing. You can listen to it there. I'm not buying this. And that's weird because I bought Batman vs. Superman. I bought Man of Steel. I bought those soundtracks like day one. And those soundtracks blew me away. Like, those were so good. I still listen to Man of Steel today. Especially the General Zod theme. That's in the bonus tracks. It's not even in the main movie. The Zod theme. That song's amazing. Just look it up. Man of Steel soundtrack General Zod. Just look that up. It's by far way better than anything on the Justice League soundtrack. But this for sure is a disappointment. I was hoping to be super pumped after listening to this. I was hoping to do another analysis thing where I was going to break down every track, you know, go through every track. But there's nothing worth talking about here. There's a couple good tracks, and that's it. You know, the ones I mentioned, the Final Battle, Tunnel Fight, the Amazon's Mother Box, and the Heroes theme. That's it. That's all I can say. That's any good. That's worth listening to. Those are it. Like, that's it. You know, I am happy that we're not relying on the old Tim Burton theme. I'm happy we're not relying on the John Williams theme. But to be honest, if more of that was in the film, I wouldn't mind, because something's got to give. This is not good enough. You know what I'm saying? Now, I have a feeling the movie itself is going to be fine. You know, I feel like I'm going to like the movie no matter what. I feel like this soundtrack will be good enough to get us through the movie, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just so interested to know what the fuck Junkie XL was doing. You know, what was his ideas for the soundtrack? That's what I want to hear. Maybe one day we'll get to hear samples of it, but I doubt it, you know. So, I guess, you know, I'm just gonna have to agree with Campton Ramsey here for the most part, you know. uh, it's funny that he posted that comment on my last video because literally I just got finished like listening to it and then I read his comment. I'm like, wow, this dude is like, right on point. This dude's right on point. I wouldn't go as far as say it's fucking awful, but I mean he's sure well within his right to say that. I mean, and I share similar feelings. Let's just say that I am very disappointed by this soundtrack. But let me know what you guys think. Who's heard the soundtrack? What do y'all think of it? Let me know if you like it. You know, tell me why you like it. Tell me what tracks are your favorites. Is there one that, you know, I didn't talk about that was your favorite? Let me know. I'll listen to it again. You know, try to see where you're coming from. But honestly, like, I'm not going to be listening to the soundtrack, you know, after the movie, right? Like, I'm not going to be listening to this over and over like I did for Batman vs. Superman, like I did for Man of Steel. Even some tracks in Suicide Squad. The ending tracks, when they're in like slow motion fighting Enchantress, that music is better than what's in Justice League. And, you know, that might be like a really controversial thing to say, but that music sounded better than what I was hearing here, you know? But, you know, let me know what you think. Definitely let me know what you think about this. We all got different opinions probably about this. If you agree, that's great. If you don't, that's great. I want to hear why you like it, you know? Why you think it's better than Hans Zimmer, because I don't think anyone can honestly say that this Justice League soundtrack is better than what Hans Zimmer did with Man of Steel. You know what I'm saying? I don't think anyone can really say that. I think the Man of Steel score is by far the greatest superhero soundtrack there's ever been. Better than The Dark Knight, better than any Marvel movie you can think of. You know, it's just, you can't top that shit. And Danny Elfman didn't even come close for me, so we'll have to wait for the movie. I'm going to be watching the movie, and hopefully the narrative and the storyline, the characters, is what's going to carry the movie for me, because it's not going to be the soundtrack. You know, that's an odd thing to say about a DC movie, that the soundtrack is the weakest part. That's just an odd thing to say. Usually, even with Suicide Squad, the soundtrack was pretty good. So, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, let me know what you think. I'll see y'all on the next one. Take care.